Working? Yeah, working. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, sports gaming. As you can tell today, there is no background, there is no build up, no intro, because I think this is something that needs to get the attention of and need to show that this is a dead serious matter. And we're talking about mental health here in boxing. Second, mental health in the world today. There's a big story about Tyson Fury and his struggles with mental health, and there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. I believe in the sport of boxing, in particular, when it comes to addressing mental health and mental health issues. They say it's okay not to be okay, and they say that if you've got a problem, speak out. And if you see something and you're disturbed by it, speak out about it. And we talk about safe spaces and all this. Tyson Fury speaks out whenever he likes, how he feels about his dark moments, mental health, and his concerns. And every time there's a problem with Fury, the world are around. We hope you get well, hope you get better, blah blah blah. Your daughter, and people very sensitive with Tyson Fury. Now, the whole situation with Deontay Wilder, when he got beat by Tyson Fury, they jumped on and said he was mentally broken. That stuff is still going on now about him being mentally broken. How can you come from a standpoint of one person having mental health issues and talking about being mentally broken or to the point of committing suicide, and then a man in the other corner who you're now calling mentally ill, people are laughing at? That I don't understand whatsoever. Wilder's come out and made a lot of accusations of Fury about his gloves, calling him a cheater, this and that. But he's not too far off the truth. Remember, Fury was banned from boxing for 2 years with PEDs. Of course, we keep that very quiet. If that was Dillian Whyte, Deontay Wilder, if it was Luis Ortiz, you would have heard about those things. We kept on hearing about over and over again about, you hear about Dillian Whyte, he's a drug cheat, where's the B sample? But I know we're talking about, he keeps it very quiet. Same with Canelo. You understand? So when I talk about mental health isn't based on a color, and it isn't based on a religion, and it isn't based on a person's name. It's based on what's going on internally. Okay, so this stuff that's going on at the moment, I find absolutely hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy at the highest level, and it is downright prejudice and racism. I'm going to put it down as that. I'm calling it for what it is because it's not balanced. Wilder's not getting treated the same way as Fury. If Fury said that Wilder cheated, people will say, "Oh yeah, he probably can because he cheated with the gloves." Now we go back to this GLOVEGATE situation, which everyone mocked Deontay Wilder about. Remember, they mocked him about it. Nicholas Asbury, I think his name was. He pointed out about the Fury's gloves, and people laughed and said, no, he's a hater. Okay, so the first fight, people brought out about the gloves and mentioned about the knuckles in the gloves. I'm like, hold on a second. Tyson Fury's never been a big puncher in his career. Notice a big puncher. Suddenly, he puts the weight on and he's this massive puncher. I'm like, well, hold on, that makes sense. And the glove thing, I kept sawing things with the knuckles, and I was like, okay, all right, maybe it's my eyes, maybe it's Photoshop, blah, 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 blah. But still, I kind of kept open mind to it because I'm hearing somebody speaking out in pain, saying, look at me, look at what's going on, look at these situations, look, here are the red flags. And the worst thing you can have, I think Dave Chappelle said it, is where you're being ignored, where you've been minimized, or you've been put to one side. Just go in the little corner and keep quiet. What you say is irrelevant. That's a very, very demeaning thing that is often happens, particularly, let's say, influential position where you're talking the truth. You like to quiet you and silence you. But Deontay Wilder is speaking out about these things, talked about the gloves. Lo and behold, now we go to the glove meeting. Those same gloves repair, the same type of gloves that Fury used in the first fight and the second fight, now have come back in the third fight. And this time, we see with our own eyes, thanks to Tate Jones, you can see that Fury's gloves look like, you can see that those gloves have got hardly any padding, and the padding's been distributed differently. You can see that with your own eyes. You can see that. I tell you, if it was on the other foot now and Wilder were to use those gloves. The thing about it is this: manslaughter or the intent to cause harm. Now, what Fury said is he wants to cause harm to Deontay Wilder. He's going to cause him serious damage. He's going to put the weight on. He's going to cause serious damage, right, in the ring. Serious damage. Well, that's fine and good if we're playing on a level playing field. Level playing field. Now, you saw the gloves that Wilder had. Brand new, in the package, solid. You could feel them. You could see it's solid. You go to Fury's gloves, you can feel the softness. You can, if you take a moment here to ridicule this matter here about the gloves, let's take it one step further. Now, man's getting in the ring to perform, to entertain you all. Now, whether you like a person or not, the fact that you would sit there and watch a person happily put on a pair of gloves that you damn well know is not fully padded and has been allowed by commission. Oh, it's allowed by commission. It's fine. And you damn well know in your heart it's not fine. What part of mental health are you coming from? That you would sit there to watch a man potentially lose his life and knowing those gloves are not fitted correctly. So Wilder is going out there and saying, yeah, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, but I'm gonna do it with proper gloves. I'm gonna use it with legit gloves. I'm not gonna change the padding or have my gloves in there that have been already used. When gloves are already used, you know that the padding, it's not the same, or you take the padding away from it. But they've approved those gloves. Now, here's how you fix this. If Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury wear the same gloves, otherwise Wilder should refuse point blank not to wear the gloves. And this is what I'm talking about, because I'm sure by law, with the intent to cause harm, and even the commission themselves and the person that sanctioned that will knowing those gloves, this, I told you, is going to end up becoming a serious legal matter. Wilder versus Fury 4 in the courtroom. This whole shit's going to get busted completely open. Change of referee. I'll tell you what happens if you get a change of referee. A change of referee from a referee who's probably going to stick to the rules. Now you have a referee now that is not going to play by the rules, i.e. these are the sort of rules you can see on the night. If Wilder gets dropped early, he stops the fight and the fight is done. Or you have a situation where his back is against the ropes and Fury lands a quick combination and they stop the fight. So the rule would be, as soon as this guy is in, stop the fight. If the guy is down, stop the fight. And you know what they'll say? They'll say, well, you know, we had to stop the fight because we don't want a situation where somebody gets hurt in the ring badly. That's why we're stopping the fight early. And then we'll use the Malik Scott situation. Don't think these people ain't clever. They'll use the Malik Scott situation. They'll look back to the second Wilder fight and say that Breland got in and stopped the fight. And that Breland, by him stopping that fight, he did the right thing and he got sacked for it. So now they know Malik Scott won't do that because Malik Scott's close to Wilder. So if they stop the fight, they'll say, oh, they had to stop the fight to protect Wilder. Now, I'm not saying, and you ever heard me say prediction for one fight from person to the other, because this is a very contentious fight. This fight just isn't about two guys getting in the ring and fighting. This is more than that. It's political. It's racist. It's prejudice. It's one of the most contentious fights in world boxing today, and it's corrupt. That's what it is. Absolutely corrupt. Yourself. I'm not a commissioner. I'm not a commissioner, and I can see those gloves. There's something wrong with them gloves. Now, both men should fight with those gloves, or no men should fight with those gloves. That's what I say. And I think those gloves should be brought in evidence as well, because they talk about, and another thing, the 277 pounds, I think Fury's probably lighter than that. I think he's got the hat on, he's got the gloves on. I think he's a bit lighter than that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But I don't like, and I guarantee you as well, the media will not cover this the way they should cover it. They won't cover it the way they should cover it. They won't cover it about the referee. They won't cover it about the gloves. I don't care if you dislike this video. I don't give a damn, because it is what it is. It is what it is. Silence isn't golden. You can't have mental health, one set of rules for mental health for one person and the person. And that's exactly what's happened, especially with the commission. You've got one set of gloves for one guy and another set of gloves for another guy. Oh yeah, but that happens in boxing. But look at the gloves. Look at the condition of the gloves. If you haven't boxed before, you've never put on a pair of gloves, you won't understand. So I don't particularly want to hear your opinion. But boxing trainers, you know, and of course, it's more beneficial for Fury to win this fight. But if Fury beats Wilder, of course, there's other mega fights to make. There's the Joshua fight to make. And then you get a cut of the money on that as well. Do you understand? So this business is just it's sickening, real sickening. Wilder said he has evidence of evidence of wrongdoing. Do you think it will be released after the fight? Absolutely. I said this from day one. This evidence will be released in the courtroom afterwards. He just wants to get in the ring and have this fight first. On the contract's on it. Have the fight, and then you bring out legal evidence afterwards. And I believe there's going to be a lot of legal evidence. A lot of legal evidence. And the legal evidence doesn't just start with his fight. The legal evidence can go back to the PED scandal back in England. The evidence can go back to the John McDermott situation. It can go so much evidence you can use. Plus, even now, there's evidence right now. There's evidence staring us in the face as to how corrupt this sport is with those gloves. So you see it for yourself because you just follow the trail now. Follow the trail. Oh, Fury's suddenly punching harder. Yeah, he's got better technique now. Yeah, right. If you put a little bit more weight on, yeah, of course you punch harder. Punch harder, and your knuckle and your gloves. Of course, when you've got less padding on your gloves, of course you can cause damage. So you've gone out there with the intent to cause harm. That's why Wilder turns to say an eye for an eye, and he wants it back in blood. That's why he's talking like that. He's a cheat. That's his words. That's his pain. And people call him deluded for that. But yet the same people that call him deluded are the same people that are going to turn around and say, oh, Tyson, are you okay? Are you in the right men? Are you in an okay mental state? Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Mental health isn't a color. It's a condition. It's mental. It's internal. It's got nothing to do with the color of your skin or your race or your name or where you're born. It's an internal situation. And so how it becomes made an external thing by color or class or creed, BS, that's divide and conquer shit. And the media have been absolutely disgusting because they, on one hand, they're supporting the Fury story, but on the other hand, they're completely destroying the character of Deontay Wilder. So when you go around calling somebody deluded, if a person's deluded, right, which you're calling up, and you're standing and calling a person deluded who's crying out in pain to you, you're contributing to that mental health. I hope you know that. I hope you know that, because that's part of the whole mental health thing there, you know. And I can tell you firsthand, from a sufferer of chronic fatigue syndrome of almost 10 years of my life, the invisible illness that I overcame through people who looked at me and said, you're perfectly fine, you're tired, you're lazy. Didn't understand it, didn't get it. So I had to heal myself. Those who know feel there's know there's expression. So when you're talking about mental health and the battles of mental health and the challenges of mental health, this is no joke. And that's why when I see the nonsense going on within the media, that it's about sensationalism and outright character assassination. That's what's going on. How can you call a person deluded? You call the person deluded, right, about the contract. Okay, the contract obviously did expire. That's why they're fighting now, clearly. So, but the people who thought Fury and Joshua were going to fight were so convinced, even though there was an arbitration in place and they were told that would be grandeur as a delusion. That would be delusion right there. That would be delusion. Or thinking that Fury's an angel. When That would be delusion. Because you actually think something that the facts are there. Also, Fury's been pulled up about his gloves before in the Christian Hammer fight. John McDermott spoke about it as well. He openly spoke about it, and we weren't even looking for information about gloves. Nicholas Asbury brought out the thing about the gloves. These people are talking to you. But because the media have controlled your mind, those who control the media control the minds. I work in media. I understand it. I get it. So when I hear people saying, this person's delusionary, Wilder's delusionary, but hold on, he's pulling these things up. Now you'll see the damn gloves in your face. He's still calling this man delusionary. You will get a wake-up call. It's after this fight is over, win, lose or draw, in the courtroom, and this evidence starts to come out, and this guy's got a lot of evidence. I mean, I'm not even Deontay Wilder, and I can pull evidence together. You know, but, you know, I'll tell you something about opinions, right? The same opinions that sat here and told me Joshua and Fury are going to fight, and I told you all it's not going to happen. I could call you all deluded, and I'd be right. But you push that to one side. So then what makes your opinion so entitled and so important that your delusionary facts, the facts that you've been called out as delusionary, yeah? You've been exposed for delusionary, but you push it to one side. But another guy who's coming out with truth, you're calling delusionary. And then on top of it, you want to say Tyson Fury's got mental health. His mental health issues are okay. But Deontay Wilder's mental issues are not. To me, there is no bias in mental health. And then here's another one. You say that he's windmilling, not a very good boxer, he's this, he's that, he's only got the right hand. So the guy goes back and starts to make improvements to try and do better. Still, you encourage him and lift the man up. You're still disrespecting him. You're still saying that he can't box, he can't do this, he can't do that. Huh? What do you do to contribute to mental health? Are you an advocate for mental health, or are you a hypocrite for mental health? I'm asking a question. And I told you, work in the favor of the American fighter. It will not. Americans will tell you that themselves. Mayweather, Pacquiao. Pacquiao is a foreign fighter. He's the Filipino. Yeah. And he got more support than Mayweather. You know, Canelo's not even American. He's Mexican. But he makes all his money in America. I'm just looking at it for what it is. For what it is. So how can you it's like, it would be like Wilder coming to the UK with the British Boxing Board of Control, and the British Boxing Board of Control supporting Wilder over Fury. You British fans would be up in arms about it. You'd be up in arms in it. All I'm trying to be is unbiased as possible. In other words, just look at it for what it is. I don't care who wins the fight, but I do care, and I'll always care about it being fair, a fair playing field. I'll always care about justice being served, and those who have an opinion to be heard and listened to. We can't investigate the whole thing about the gloves now. There's no time for it. But afterwards, after the fight is over, all you people, same crowd of people. It's the same crowd of people, because the same thing with the Dillian Whyte situation. Dillian Whyte, you know, he can't go to court. If he goes to court, then he's not going to win. What the hell do you know about legal stuff? What do you know about legal stuff? You don't. So Whyte wins his case with the WBC. That's why WBC are quick to install him as, yeah, he's next in line. But they're not done. They know Otto Welling's got a good chance of beating Dillian Whyte. So it's what it is, you know. Take away your personal bias, whether it be your personal. It's difficult for a racist to take away their personal bias when it comes to looking at something plain and simple. And that I think is their curse, because they can't see things with a balanced point of view. Take away, because you've never met these people, or you've never met Deontay Wilder on a one-to-one basis. I mean, he's a man that's providing for his daughter, and he used boxing as a way to do that. And his story is quite compelling. Forget about what a person says in the ring and how their characters inside the ring. Forget all that. That's the pantomime. Outside the ring, behind closed doors, the private life of an individual. That's how you really get to know what a man is. So they say, oh, this man's this and he's that, and he's this, he's that. You don't know them. You don't know them to make a judgment call like that. You only know what they've allowed you to see. Some people allow you to see only what they want you to see, right? And like, there are people that come on, you never met me. You never sat down in a conversation with me, but you're this and that. I'm part of this group, I'm part of that group. I do this, I do that. You don't know anything about, you don't know anything about me. You know what I let you know because it's what it is. So I think, again, it's my opinion, just my opinion, but just be a bit more balanced. Because you see, I'm one of these people is that what I put out in the world, I expect it to come back to me. So I expect fair judgment. Yeah, I expect fair judgment because that's what I would want back in return. So I only give a man what I expect back from a man or woman. Yeah, fair judgment. That's all. And that's what I base this channel on, fair judgment. I don't care about views. I don't care about popularity. If I wanted to do that stuff, I'd go out like every other person, get a camera. Don't need to do that. I did my bit. I did that. Don't need to do it now. I just want to know from the best in the trainers. That's what I want to learn from, so I can really improve my knowledge and I can educate those who want to be educated about the sport of boxing. That's where I'm coming from. It says, I can see why Fury picked them gloves. Wilder should use them too. Got Wilder by KO early. I don't care one way or the other, to be honest. At this point, I don't care. I'm more concerned about the protocols and the stat and what is going on in broad daylight. Why boxing ain't got no commission? Dirty business. Of course, it's a dirty business, but there are people on here that say the commission are as clean as anything. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened there, but we're back. So we're good. Right. Sorry. Let me go here. I'm not interested in predictions for the fight because I don't think that really matters. Let's get back here. Wilder season. Wilder says a lot of things. He's got no evidence. It's just Alabama. Oh no, I'm not. Let me skip this. Sorry, it's nonsense. I'm trying to skip that. I'm not interested in the winning or losing. That's not what this conversation is about. Not interested in that. Let me go here. Not really talking about the fight itself. Good afternoon. How are you doing? I'm trying to focus on. Where we go. Charlson says Fury has had a long history of unscrupulous behavior. There we go. But this is not covered by the media because obviously they're doing a good PR job to keep that out of the way. But that's what it is. It's just PR. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see here. Okay, common sins ain't common. Emotional hatred takes away objectivity. You're talking to deaf ears, Ingram. No, not that deaf. Not that deaf. Because if justice prevails, or when I say justice prevails, when injustice is prevalent, and then the weight of power of the boxing gods decide to bring justice, then if justice is served, my words will be heard. They usually are, eventually. Here you go. Go Gudget. Fury failed another drug test in 2016 during the camp for Klitschko rematch, so he dropped the belts, claiming mental health before they could officially strip him for failed drug test cocaine. Okay, there we go there. Yeah, I'm back, bro. I'm back. So I'm not interested. Listen, I'm not interested today to talk about your opinion on the fight itself. Don't care. Not interested. That was for before. We're talking about mental health here, please. I'm not interested in that. Thankfully, the gloves have video evidence for posterity. For future boxing fans will always be able to look back at the super soft gloves and ponder Fury's career. That's what I'm saying. Evidence is there, and you get some light in the house here. The evidence is there, and you see, we talk about boxing channels, you know, and talking about these things. These are things that people should be talking about. Waffling out hours and hours again about nonsense for views. These are the things people need to be talking about and open up the conversations about. If you really love boxing, not personalities. There's a difference. You can be a fan of personalities and you can be a fan of boxing. They're two different things. Fans of personalities, it means that you actually adore a person to the point where no matter what the person says, you can't see the light of day. What they say is everything. Is what they say is gospel. Whereas if you study sort of boxing, it's less about what they say. It's about more about what they do. And I'm interested about what they do rather than what they say. Yeah, you can find a laugh, the Fury called him a dosser and a shithouse. Yeah, that's Fury. That stuff doesn't bother me. I mean, I've seen Fury for years. I've listened to him and I've spoken to him up close and personal. That stuff doesn't faze me in the slightest. It's about what you do. Because what you say is not going to go down in box rec. Calling somebody a shithouse is not going down in box rec. It's what you do in the night is what's going to come down in box rec, ultimately. And, you know, I said already, I'm seeing this going to the courtroom. Says, oh, goddess, how are you? My queen, I hope you're well. Good morning. I'm here in Las Vegas. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm currently watching you and getting ready to go for my morning run. Can't wait for this fight this evening. Yep, I know a lot of people are looking forward to the fight. It's one of the most contentious fights in boxing. I kind of in some ways look at this fight like Holmes versus Cooney. Yeah, the modern day Holmes Cooney. When you're watching it tonight, Ingram, interested to see as it tomorrow is World Mental Health Day. Amazing, it is, isn't it? I hope that tomorrow's World Mental Health Day, that both men are celebrated for Mental Health Day, and not just one man. Amen. Boxing is always about stars. The rest of the stuff is extras, really. It is. It is what it is. That's what I'm here for, and that's why I push and try to promote that in boxing. You know. Sounds to me that you're hoping Fury is guilty of something. Bit of a Wilder fan, are we, mate? You're a bit of the you don't know what this channel's about, mate. That's what it is about. Because if you thought that was the case, if you just have to look at the front page of my channel to see that it's got Fury all over it. At one point, this channel was called the Fury Channel. So don't go there, son. Don't go there. I told you, this is about being non-biased. And Fury, as far as I'm concerned, those gloves are not legit. Sorry. They're not legit gloves. No. That's what I'm calling it for. It's nothing to do with personality. See, you are about personality, my friend. I am about the sport of boxing and the integrity of boxing. You would allow a man to get in a ring with gloves intended to cause harm, and then when the harm is caused and the guy's in intensive care, you're going to be on Twitter saying, oh, well, get well, son. No, mate. People like you and your mindsets are the reason why a lot of people get hurt in this sport. People like you are the reason why Oscar Valdez was able to box and he was tested positive for PEDs. People like you allow the corruption for your own personal interest, because this is what it's about. See, it sounds to me like you've gone in one ear and out the other, and you're the perfect example of what's so wrong about the sport. That's what it is. And yeah, I'm going to get tucked into you. So you come out and start talking, because I want to get tucked into someone today, and you can be the person I'm going to pick on today. Because people like you like to come on the show and talk nonsense. So today, yeah, I'm going to let up. This is World Mental Health Day today on BWTM. I'm calling it as it is. So come out and let's talk. Let's talk. Live commentary tonight, and we'll think about it. Let's talk. Need to get John Fury off screen as soon as possible so KO win for Vital, please. Ingram, got me thinking something is up with them gloves now. I can't believe it, but always say you don't know. Look at them damn gloves. Look at the softness of them gloves. If you look at those gloves, they're exactly the same condition of the gloves that Nicholas Asbury talked about in Fury sparring. You just got to call things for what they are. I like Tyson Fury, but I don't like Tyson Fury ahead of justice in the sport. That's what they call old pros tricks. That's an old man, old pros tricks. That's an old pros trick, right? I said this. If you go back and listen to my preview to this fight, I said that the justice system will not serve Malik Scott and Deontay Wilder. The society today is a bigger factor, and you can't really, I don't have much control over that. But just look at what America is and how people are treated. Certain people, a certain group of people are treated in America. That's why Deontay Wilder's victory in that courtroom to beat Bob Arum, Frank Warren, and Eddie Hearn. I'm praying Barry Hearn as well, because it's really Barry, not Eddie. To beating those 34 guys, 4 of the most powerful men in boxing, to be able to get this third fight, would have got them pissed. Absolutely pissed. And Fury doesn't want this fight for whatever reason, but he's forced to fight this fight, because if he doesn't, he has to pay a hefty amount of money. That's what you have to understand now. That's what you have to understand. Go back and look at them gloves. Go back and look at them damn gloves. The Brotherhood. Those guys support a cheater and think Wilder deserves brain damage because they don't like Wilder personally. That's what I'm talking about. Guys like this don't care about the sport of boxing. They don't. And these are the people, and believe it or not, these are the people that actually hide behind media cameras hide behind media cameras. And you know, I tell you what really pisses me off. Really pisses me off. And yeah, you know who you are. I'm talking about here. So you don't want to come on the show and give me an interview. But yeah, when nobody was talking to you, you came on the show and I gave you props. And I interviewed you when people didn't give a damn about you. I gave you interviews when people were slamming you. But now you think you're a big shot. Now you're doing interviews with people who actually are slating you in your face on the camera while doing interviews with the opposition. But you're sitting there doing interviews with them. You idiots. You know what? You know who you are. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I don't talk about no brotherly stuff because you ain't no brother. Because if you were a brother, you would have done the right thing. You jumped to this channel, jumped to that channel, jumped to this channel, gave it interview here, gave it interview there, gave it interview here. But I was the one that when you guys were getting completely rinsed out, I stood behind you all. Not because you're a brother. Not enough to do that. It's just to do with justice. That's all. So for me, it's what it is. I'm wrong on this. Well, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. You want to talk about evidence of Wilder? Never mind Wilder. Prove me wrong tonight. Right here, right now, son. Prove me wrong. Let's have it tonight. Let's have it today. Sick and tired of people like you. The gloves didn't cause harm. No, you got big fair and square. The gloves didn't cause harm. The gloves didn't cause harm. So the bleeding out of his ear, it didn't cause harm. Because you didn't take the punches. That's why you can sit there and make such an ignorant statement. That's right, Ingram. Tell it. Good morning. Good morning to you. Top of the morning to you. The Canary Dad tunnel is Ingram talks to people like Bashir privately. Are these guys agreeing with Ingram privately? Bashir's not the only one I talk to privately. But some people don't come on camera, and I get it. Calling Guarda delusional is character assassination as well as calling Fury cheater with glowy gloves. Well, the thing is, my friend Randy Orton, again, you're another one of these people that pop up, and I called you very divisive characters, but I'm going to take you out as well. I can see the gloves. We've seen the gloves today. We have seen the gloves today via Tay Jones. No relation to me, of course, but we saw the gloves, the inspection, the commission. We saw Fury's gloves out of the package. You saw them soft. The same way we saw the same soft gloves in Fury's gym. Different color, but the same softness. Used feeling. Lacking padding. So, you call it character assassination. I'm not assassinating Fury's character. I'm calling for what it is. Fact. You say that Wilder's mentally broken. Where are your facts on that? Are you a doctor? Are you a psychiatrist? How can you call a man mentally broken? Are you a doctor? Are you a psychiatrist? No, I don't think so. And if you were, then it'd be highly unprofessional to be calling somebody mentally unstable. But Fury can call Wilder mentally unstable, and it's okay. A guy coming from a mental health background. Really? I couldn't call anyone unstable. I've come from that background with chronic fatigue syndrome. So I know it. I ain't talking out the side of my head like a lot of you are. Even if it didn't load the gloves, these guys still know that Fury failed 2 PD tests, so they're still rooting for a cheat. Well, they know he failed. They know he failed the test. They know he got caught by Christian Hammer. But these people, you just see them in the comment section, and you know exactly that's the swamp. That's the toxic in boxing, right there. They're not boxing fans. They're not boxing fans. They're not fans of the sport. They're fans of something else. The agenda. While I don't want to even talk about that, I'm not interested. Sorry, Stephen, I'm not getting involved in that. Them gloves look flat as hell. I don't care what the commission says. Well, there you can see it yourself. You can see their gloves are flat as hell. You can see it. You can see it. It's got nothing to do with black or white, which a lot of you have that problem. So, be honest. Some of you are just downright racist. Just say it. You just don't like black people. Just say that. And we're cool with that, you know. or I just want to support my own. That's all right. Either way, I don't look at this as a black and white thing. I look at this as the sport of boxing I love. And the sport of boxing has helped black, it's helped white, it's helped Asian. It's helped everybody that wants to be a part of the sport. And if you're good enough, you're going to get opportunities. So that's me coming from a sport called cricket, where there's racism in it. And you can't even be allowed to do the things you want to do because you've got somebody there in a position of influence that will stop you accelerating in your sport. So unlike football, where you can go and get qualifications and jump through this hoop and jump through that hoop and pass and get further and further, in cricket, you have to go through one set. You have to go to one set of people. And if those one set of people don't want you to progress your career, you don't do the course. That right there is prejudice in the highest level. If your face don't fit, you don't do the course. So I know what it's like. And so is this really about race? I thought it was about boxing, mate. Get the hell out of here, man. Come on. I have pictures of 5 different custom-made puffin gloves, and none of them are wrinkled like Furies. There you go. Greetings, I hope everyone is rooting for the Americans today. Let's go. Bro, I told you, I don't care who wins the fight. You know, not actually, I do care who wins the fight. I hope justice wins this fight, because I'm just about balance. I like Fury and Wilder for different reasons. Slightly rooting for Wilder this time, just to even things up. Don't want either guy to lose. Really, one of those fights. 5 minutes. Yeah. I like both guys for different reasons as well. I think Fury brings a lot of entertainment to the sport. I think he's a colourful character, and he's a guy that I had a personal relationship with and could get on the phone and call and talk to, and his family, to be fair, back in the early days, a lot of the views I was getting was because of Tyson Fury and the Fury family. So I can't sit here and say I don't like Tyson Fury. Only idiots that would sit here, and people who don't understand, or jealous people would sit down and say, you hate Tyson Fury. It's not about hating anybody. It's about when something's right. If the show was on the other foot and it was Tyson Fury, and it was Deontay Wilder who was using the loaded gloves and all the gloves were padded, or if it was Deontay Wilder, I'd say, hey, shit. If I thought that Wilder put that weight on and it was because of PEDs, I'd be shit. Yeah, that's not right. Because that's just balance. So I don't understand these people that come up with these agendas of, you don't like Fury because he's crap. And before you go and say, one of my good friends, Ryland Charlton's fighting tonight. He's white. Okay, he's white. So I don't. It's not about color for me. That's because it's just as divisive. The same people have locked me out. If I come back and be the same way back, I'm no better. So you rise above that. You understand? Some of my closest friends, Leif, who comes to this show, he's white. But it's not about color for me. It's the content of a person's heart. And some of the people here, the contents of your heart stink because of the things that come out your mouth. Things you say. It's very strange people looking for alternate accounts just to come in here and talk nonsense. Yeah, we know what it is. We know what it is. But the thing is, I want to engage them in conversation. I want the trolls to come out and talk. Because they do make these little comments. When you ask them to talk about it, they can't talk about it because it's a problem. My official prediction for this fight is this. This fight reminds me of Holmes and Cooney. Go and watch the build to Holmes versus Cooney. I don't want to make a prediction for this fight because I tell you why. It's so contentious. It's so it's so race-driven. And you're seeing the ugly head and the corruption of boxing. What I hope for this fight is that justice is served. Whichever way that looks, justice is served. If it's for Fury, what I want, one thing I do want for this fight, I want them gloves that Fury's wearing. I want Wilds to wear them same gloves. I'm happy. I'm happy. Because let me tell you a story. A very quick story I want to tell you. In the sport of cricket, there used to be a team. There were two teams. There was Australia and there was West Indies. Australia, back in the early 70s, they had these two guys, Lilly and Thompson, and they were just two fast bowlers. Basically, two guys. They were like pitchers in baseball, and they would terrorize everybody. The West Indies went down to Australia and they battered them right with cork balls. It's legal, they did it, but they're bouncing balls, hitting them in their head, hitting them in their bodies. England went down there, they got battered by them. And the West Indies said, right, we're coming for you, Australia. They got four fast bowlers, tall fast bowlers, and they came back for Australia and they peppered Australia. And Australia then started saying, oh, they started whinging, oh, these guys are animals. The West Indies are probably the most successful sports team in history. I think they were unbeaten for about 10 years in sport, never lost a series. Okay, so it just shows you that when these people are on top, it's fine. But when things change and they have to go by their own rules, they start to freak out. So I just want to see Wilder wear them same gloves. That's all. Okay, Mr. Sket. Surely them gloves are checked properly. So why all the negativity? No one is saying what you're coming out with. No one. No one. No one. Bro. No one. Why don't you open your eyes? Open your eyes and go on YouTube. I got my information from a guy called AK. Go look at that. That's someone. AK did it. Okay? So I got information of AK. Tay Jones mentioned something about it because he saw the gloves. Yeah? I'm sure Wilder's team saw the gloves and make us think about it. And there are people on here who've seen the gloves. BG London has just seen the gloves. So what the hell are you talking about, son? Mate, you ain't making sense. I'm asking you to have a proper debate here. Why isn't Fury PD's suspension being highlighted in the build-up? All the dirt on Wilder has question mark. There we go. Of course it's got question marks to it. Do you think Charlton gets KO tonight? Don't know much about his opponent. I think he does. I think his opponent's not a puncher, but he's a southpaw. I think he's a bit of a mover. But I think Charlton's going to close him down and knock him out. I hope he does. He better. I'm expecting a spectacular performance from Charlton tonight. I really am. I really am. Got a lot of time for Ryan and Charlton. I like the guy. I like him. He's got likability. He's got personality. He can punch. He's a good-looking bloke. So yeah, no homo sort of stuff there. But I think he's a bright kid. You know, he's good. I hope he's improved. I hope he's moving his head now. I hope he's showing a bit more lateral movement. But most of all, I hope he gets in and really does a number on this guy. I really do. I really do. Let's hear this now. Sports should never be about racism, but to me, sounds to me, it's all coming from Wilder's side. No, it's not all coming from Wilder's side. Look at second fight, his intro, his fans going crazy. Complexion for protection, BS. Well, my brother, you're a spiritual man. I must say this to you. If you think the society, it's okay being in England, making comments, but if you're in America and you're making them comments, I would suggest for you to look deep within, because what's going on with Wilder and Fury is a deeper reflection of society today. How one man Let me ask you this question. If Deontay Wilder had been done with PEDs the way that Tyson Fury had, and his gloves had been pulled up the way Tyson Fury's gloves have been pulled up, you'd be discrediting Wilder's punching power now, wouldn't you? You'd be discrediting Deontay Wilder's ability as a fighter on all those knockouts because he's a PED's cheat. Canelo, PED cheat. People don't talk too much about that. Dillian White now talk about his situation. Where's the B sample? I don't understand it. Big Baby Miller, banned from the sport of boxing. Povetkin got caught 3 times. Pay-per-view star. It doesn't make sense. Oscar Valdez, WBC, will be criminals. And Valdez gets popped for PEDs and still fights. It's the same WBC we're dealing with again. And who's the WBC champion? Tyson Fury. So what I'm saying is this. Just forget about your dislikes for a person that you've never met. And actually take the time to, let's imagine it was your son going in the ring, fighting on the night against Tyson Fury. And you knew those gloves weren't right. Would you be so bold in saying the things that you're saying now? I think not. Yeah, I think I definitely want closure for this fight. But closure will come in Fury versus Wilder for the courtroom. That's what I think. Okay, agree. Give Wilder the same burst, but don't want the exclusives to lose. Okay, I hear this. Now, if Wilder wears the same gloves and Fury gets knocked spark out by them same gloves, if Fury gets knocked out, I don't want to hear no excuses. If he gets knocked out, I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear that he didn't train properly. I don't want to hear he's weight. I don't want excuses about mental health. I don't want to hear excuses about. I don't hear any excuses for Fury. If he gets knocked out, that's it. Gets knocked out. Silence. No, he's knocked out. You got knocked out. Thank you very much. 2-1. That's it. If Wilder gets beat, I don't want to hear excuses either. And if he makes excuses about them damn gloves, it's his own downfall because he should not be going and fighting with them gloves on against Fury. I wouldn't be fighting against Fury with them gloves on. I'd be kicking up a stink about it. When you were talking about Stacey McKinley, did he think Fury cheat? You know Stacey McKinley likes Tyson Fury, right? Stacey McKinley likes Tyson Fury. He's old school. He likes Tyson Fury. He likes what he sees of Tyson Fury. So, you know, Tyson Fury moves from trainer to trainer to trainer. There's always a possibility he may visit Stacey one day or may ask Stacey for sparring and stuff. So you've got to keep things smooth. You understand? This is a business. BG London says, Wilder thinks he's a king. What's Fury's nickname again? LOL. Yeah, I know. That tongue-in-cheek in maybe he's too gypsy, but not through blood, is who's toughest. To be honest, Fury is the funniest, but both him and AJ total sellouts, and I don't like Wilder either. So deluded, egotistical. Peace and love to you, brother Ingram. But wait, that's a bit contradictory because you need to have an element of ego if you're a boxer. You have to understand, if you're understanding the mentality of a boxer from a spiritual perspective, they don't work hand in hand. They can't work hand in hand because, like, a spiritual concept is about you dropping your ego, right? Dropping your ego, and you know, that's what your spiritual aspect would be. But as a boxer, you can't drop your ego. Your ego is the thing that keeps you going. It's the thing that makes you fly past your fears. So it's a complete contradiction right there, Steve, right? with all my all love to you, bro, but you can't criticize a fighter for being egotistical, because it's ego that is what drives every boxer. Come on. Have you ever known a fighter and say, oh, I don't think I'm the best? Come on, that's ego. But let's separate ego that's needed for the ring and the fighter to perform versus ego outside the ring on non-boxing matters. That is when you find that someone's got an ego. Yeah, I think he was a lightweight before he moved up to welterweight. So I think he's coming back down to lightweight. Charlton, fun fighter. Hope he made improvements for Marco fighter who's shown levels that fight. You know, this Randy Orton is definitely Ruben Guerrero, because they took the same level of shit and used the same level of words. So Randy Orton is Ruben Guerrero that's been blocked. So Mr. Orton, you're getting blocked as well. Bye. So I blocked Ruben Guerrero last night. It's not deep. Boxing is deep, actually. Boxing is deep. That's why you've got guys like Bashir and Stacey McKinley, and you don't get it. Wilder makes it deep. It's always been about boxing. The boxing game is at the end of the day. No, you don't think it's deep because you don't understand the history of boxing. You don't understand the history. That the history of boxing is that deep because it was the red corner and the blue corner. There were two gangs. It started like that. It started by gang war. One in one corner for one gang, and one in another corner for another gang. The red and the blue gang. That's it. So it is. Boxing is deep, my friend. It's just not. It's not deep for you, but it's deep. Oh dear me, boxing's not deep. All I know is I have a mixed race family members. In you have good and bad in all races. Absolutely. But that still doesn't condone you saying that Wilder's egotistical. Now you're talking about family. Family's got nothing to do with boxing when we're talking about the mental state of a boxer and how a boxer prepares. Boxing needs ego to prepare. So I can't understand how you can turn around and not like a person for being egotistical. That's like hating a bricklayer for using bricks to build the house. That don't make sense. You wouldn't go up to a bricklayer and say, "Oh, I don't like you, mate, because you're using bricks to build the house." Nah? So you need ego to build a fighter. Ego is important. It's essential. You name me the top fighters in the world-class fighters who don't have ego. You name me one fighter that don't have ego. Name me one who doesn't have ego, and I'll call you a liar for it. Come on. Yes, he did talk about race. He talked about the battle that's happening till this day, the injustice in America. He's talking from an American standpoint. The struggle, the civil rights, and even with the civil rights movement, and with Martin Luther King, and so many things, the affirmative action, and all the stuff that's going on in America, and the black people that suffered in America. We just talked about the guy that had a white police officer with his neck, his knee on his neck. So yeah, he does talk about race because it was brought up. That's why he went to Radio Raheem. And he went till this day. And he looked at Radio Raheem, was like, what, you're a sellout or what? You're American, you're black, and you're trying to tell me there's no struggle today. There's no racism in boxing. Come on, man. Come on. Wilder didn't make it about race. You're making it that Wilder's made it about race. So when Muhammad Ali, did he make it about race? Did Muhammad Ali make it about race? Mate, you don't know anything about boxing. Clearly, you know nothing about boxing. Because if you did, you wouldn't make such silly statements. You got the complexion for the protection. That came from Muhammad Ali. Being a gypsy isn't a race. I just heard from a team member of Wilder, and he said that Wilder is going to wear, in this fight, MX Everlast gloves. I'm hearing that these are puncher's gloves, which is bad news for Fury. Good day. Thank you very much for the information. Much appreciated. So Wilder will be wearing the MX Everlast gloves. But if you find this information out, Goddess, can you exactly explain to me why he wouldn't use the same gloves that Fury's wearing? Because those gloves lack padding. Why doesn't he wear the same gloves? Even playing field. Don't understand. What's your opinion on the horsehair gloves? The horsehair gloves, they've got less padding to them. The horsehair gloves have less padding to them. So, the knuckles more exposed. Do you know for a fact them gloves are clattered with? Mate, seriously, sit down, do yourself a favor. Go right over now to BWTMonline.com and order the BWTM pint glass. And get yourself a Heineken, or put yourself a Heineken in that BWTM glass, sit back, or in that tumbler, sit back and chill out, bro. Seriously, chill out. And go look at the AK video with the gloves. And honestly look at those gloves and you tell me if they don't look right. They do not look right at all, honestly. You can drop your ego, look at GGG. Okay, let me ask you about GGG. Let me ask you about GGG. 2 questions. Question number 1. What's the best fighter he knocked out? Question number 2 is, what's the best fighter he's ever knocked out? And 2, do you regard GGG as an elite middleweight? Because when you talk about elite middleweights, we'll talk about Julian Jackson, shall we? Julian Jackson. I consider him an elite middleweight. Okay, Julian Jackson. And he couldn't sit in the ring with GGG. GGG couldn't sit in the ring with Julian Jackson. He couldn't beat Marvin Hagler. He couldn't beat Thomas Hearns. He couldn't beat Sugar Ray Leonard. He couldn't beat Roberto Duran. Those are great fighters. And all those great fighters have got ego. GGG's not in that class. So I don't care if he hasn't got an ego. He's not in that class. He'll never be in that class. Every top boxer has an ego. Why wouldn't they? Exactly. These people try to use their baseless arguments with me to argue with me about boxing knowledge. Baseless. And they know themselves it doesn't fly. Oh! With GGG's confidence. But with Mayweather, it's arrogance. I get it. I get you. I see you. Yeah. With with Canelo, it's confidence. Yeah. With Lomachenko, it's confidence. I get it. But with Wilder, it's egotistical. Oh yeah, I get it. 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 So it's the whole thing of, you know, with one set of people, they can stay in the box. And, you know, they can only go a certain amount. They can only say a certain amount of things. If they go overboard, then they're egotistical. So Prince Naseem Hamed, was he egotistical? Chris Eubank, was he egotistical? Nigel Benn, was he egotistical? Huh? Come on, egotistical. Come on, man. Come on. Ego is what Floyd said. He's the best ever. Ah, how many fighters? How many of your fighters that you? How many of your fighters? How many of your boxers that you say have got confidence can walk out of HBO and can walk into Showtime and take all their videos from HBO and go to Showtime? How many of them can do that? There's a reason why he's got an ego. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You know that. Yeah, I believe so. He's got a rematch clause, but that's rematch. That's rematch room for you.
God forbid Fury loses. Frank Warren should create a helpline for heartbroken Fury fans. Oh, God. I don't hate Wilder. I just think he's a big kid with excuses in trying to make it about the race rather than boxing. The question is, my friend, he didn't start talking about race. You have to go back and look at the interview in its full context. And a lot of people like to take Deontay Wilder out of context. He was asked something about, he was talking about, I think they were referring to Tyson Fury and his fighting pride or his gypsy heritage of 500 years. And I think the Wilder said they've been fighting all their lives and they're still fighting till this day for justice. He was saying it basically, black people in America. So that's what that was about. He wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about black people in general. And that is not something that is to be debated about here. It's a fact. It's not to be debated with. There's nothing to be argued about. The racism, the injustice in America is disgusting. All around the world is disgusting when it comes to the that's why there's things like Black Lives Matter and stuff like people are fighting back. That's what it's about. So as said, Fury versus Wilder is just a mini universe of a major universe or societal problem. That's what I feel. It says here, what do you think of Wilder's weight? 238. Ben Davis tweeted madness to the weight. Why would it be madness? I don't understand. If you got bullied, listen. Again, we go back to boxing history. Evander Holyfield fought Riddick Bowe in the first fight, yeah? And he got beat up in the first fight by Riddick Bowe because he was too light. He came back in the second fight. He packed on weight with Emmanuel Stewart and he beat Bowe and almost dropped Bowe and knocked Bowe out in the second fight. It's because he bulked up and put more weight on. So I don't understand it being madness. If he is effective at the weight, if he's going to be punching harder at the weight, if he's going to be, if he's going to be able to do the things he needs to do at the weight, then fantastic. But if not, then nobody knows apart from Malik Scott. But I don't think Malik would have him bulk up to 238 pounds. The reason why he's bulked up to 238 pounds is clear to me, in my mind. So anyway, is because I believe that they want to be able to not get bullied like they got bullied in the first fight or second fight. They don't want to get bullied. That's what I believe. So that's just making adjustments. It wasn't brought up by Wilder. It's brought up by somebody in media, a journalist. That's what it was. And Wilder was checking that person in the media. Go back and listen to the video. I don't get this fanboy era that we're in. I enjoy boxing, not boxers. Obviously, I prefer to watch good and entertaining boxers. But this isn't WWE. People need to grow up. Of course they do. Of course they do. But I told you on this channel a long time ago, boxing's going down the lines of WWE. WWE, that's what it is. I don't know Wilder to hate him, but I'm just saying he conducted himself in defeat is really a joke. Hold on a second. When Anthony Joshua turned around and said that he got hit by a punch from the gods, that's how he got beat. That wasn't a punch from the gods. That was hands from the gods, right? Because he didn't do the right things. And I told you before the fight what was going to happen, exactly what was going to happen. So, I don't know. The only way you can really judge a man, and I think you will prejudge him, Wilder, is what he does in the rematch. So now he's come up with these excuses that you claim. So are you going to give the man a chance to redeem himself? You're making judgment calls about a man. Have you given him a chance to redeem himself? So the guy said, look, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. Okay. So I'm saying to you, all right. So you're saying these things. I'm giving him an ability. I'm giving him a chance to air his opinion, to share what he's got to say. Okay. So you're saying the costume. I don't think it was the costume he said that. I think that was media bullshit. But he mentioned about the gloves. He mentioned about Fury being a cheat. He said he thinks PEDs. When he called Fury a cheat of PEDs, it's historical with Fury. It's historical. It's fact. Got banned for 2 years, right? So it's fact. Okay. So that's one thing. So when we talk about mental health, one of the things about mental health is giving people space to speak out and be able to share their emotions and share how they're feeling. If you shut a man down because you think he's deluded, how are you helping the mental health cause? But Fury can sit down for hours and talk to you about mental health and talk to you all the stuff he's done, even though he's sitting in front of a guy who was banned from boxing for 2 years for being a cheat. But you can sit down and listen to his story, and he's not deluded. But this guy, Deontay Wilder, who's not a cheat, he's not been proven to be a cheat, he's egotistical, and I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay, there's ego and there's ego. Wilder's surrounded by yes men, just like AJ. He's deluded. I listen. He never accepts any faults. Always claims to know everything there is to know about. Okay. Wait. You can't. We can have an assumption about something. But until the fight plays out, then you can say, yeah, this guy is an excuse maker. He's surrounded by yes men. We can say that Joshua is surrounded by yes men because of the first fight of Uriz and now this fight of Usyk. We can say he's around yes men. And we've got evidence to that because even in the fight where he was getting hit with left hands, we heard somebody going, brilliant, AJ. There's yes man right there. So to say Wilder's surrounded by yes men, the only way we can evidence that now in 2021, bear in mind he shifted and changes his team, the only way we'll find out if he really is a yes man is after the fight. So unless you've seen the fight already, just like I can use the evidence now about the gloves that Fury's wants to use tonight and know that they're just not good enough. We can use that evidence based on the first and second fight where we saw the knuckles in the second fight of the gloves. And we thought, that looks dodgy. And then we go back to Nicholas Asbury when he was talking about the gloves and the lack of padding. And then we can flash forward to go, look now, the same gloves, same type of gloves are going to be used tonight. And then it all starts making sense. Oh, Fury's a power puncher. He's been really working on his technique. Yeah, making sure that the gloves have got less padding in them. Yeah, that would make you a more powerful puncher. And if you put a little bit more weight on, yeah, you're going to punch with a bit more power as well. So yeah, I get it, but you have to give Wilder the chance to air himself out. Do you understand? You can't just say he's a bunch of yes men, even if you think it. You've got to see him fight first, and then you can say afterwards, if he loses and he gets destroyed, you can say, yeah, he's run a bunch of yes men. He's run a bunch of yes men. But if he goes out there now and he boxes completely differently and he does exactly what Mark Breeden said he couldn't do, and he goes out there, he destroys Fury, he puts on a great boxing performance, he blows away Fury, takes him apart, then can you still come around and say he's still around a bunch of yes men? Because if you're around a bunch of yes men, you're less likely to improve. So if he's made all these drastic changes and he comes out and he boxes differently, or at least he looks different and remodels. So far, Deontay Wilder and everything he said, so far, he's got the green tick. Tonight, he said he's remodeled, and I believe that he is. I believe that he is. I believe we're going to see a different Deontay Wilder tonight. I really do. GGG isn't elite. No, he stayed in one weight. There we go. That's it. That shuts that argument right down. Not saying he's elite, though. Just had no ego. Well, yeah, that's right. That's why he's not elite. End of conversation.
I agree. Your boxing knowledge is better than mine. It's not about my. I'm not trying to boost myself as I've got better boxing knowledge. What I'm trying to say is that history is the best teacher. History is the best teacher. We have history with Fury Wilder, not just one fight. We've got 2 fights for history. Says Floyd Mayweather's money persona doesn't work without the underlying race issues and villain culture that is in America. It's a brilliant play. Absolutely. Rematch room. Yeah, that's what they are. Rematch room. That's what they are. That's what they're known for. My uncle wasn't James Elliott Bashir. That's why I like to talk to him. Listen, James Elliott Bashir is not my uncle. But since 2013, I've built a very close relationship with, and I can't call him James Ali Bashir. That's just disrespectful. Disrespectful at the highest regard. I've got to call him uncle. And he's like an uncle to me because we talk, as he said, off camera. We talk a lot. We talk a lot. And if I wasn't in the sport that I'm in, I'd be in boxing and he'd be the guy I'd be getting mentored with. Right? So, yeah, I'm thankful and grateful. I'm thankful and grateful. Ego is very important. To have too much ego can be bad. Really? In boxing? I don't know. I don't know. You keep your ego in check, but it depends. Sometimes your ego drives you beyond your fear. I mean, how much ego did Evander Holyfield have to beat fight Mike Tyson? And when they're asked about Mike Tyson, Evander Terra says, I'm ready. He looks at us, I'm ready. He goes, I'm ready. I'm ready. Mike was saying he's going to do this and that to Evander. Evander said, I'm ready. I told you I'm ready, so I'm ready. So if I'm ready, I'm ready. I'm going to beat Mike. It takes an element of ego for that. In fact, a big element of ego for that. Wilder didn't make the fight about race. He made it about corruption. Someone either believes this or to be true or not, but race was not the overall factor. Yes. Again, look, some of these people in here, I swear, work for the media. If they don't work for the media, because I know some of them do, snakes, some of them work for the media, right? Some of them work for the media, and you just know the way they just like to twist things. PR. Oh, by the way, have you seen who's in the corner of Tyson Fury? Who's Tyson Fury's PR? One Melissa. Yeah, Melissa used to be on this channel. So don't you think I don't know the understanding of media. I understand media. I understand media too well. I think 238, that's been put over 20 months. It's a good weight. It's not just sudden. The same thing with Jordan Balkan off-season to be ready for the Pistons. Go figure. I referenced basketball. Boom. Love that. Love the cross-reference there. It is and always has been about the colour line. It was clearly stated in 1903 by W.E.B. Du Bois. Some really need to be educated and stop being ignorant about this. It's not. They choose to be ignorant. Why they choose to be ignorant? Because they're in a position where it doesn't affect them. And most of these people talk out of ignorance. But to get them to sit down and to study and to read means they also become uncomfortable and have to admit to some uncomfortable truths. Most people don't have the character to deal with uncomfortable truths. And that is why they live a life. A lot of these people live a life of pure delusion. They're called Wilder delusionary, but those people that are deluded enough to believe that there's no racism in boxing. So because, you know what? Boxing is its own little world, little pretty world where racism cannot come in and racism cannot go out. But in society, there's racism. But in boxing, there's no racism. This is the sort of delusionary sort of people we have. These are real delusionary people, delusions, real delusions. And should Deontay Wilder win, there's going to be a complete meltdown yet again within the media circles. Complete meltdown and wait for the excuses.
Tyson and Hearns think Wilder should fight tall and straight down the pipe is key to do. Do you agree? I believe that's the Kronk style. The Kronk style was used on Wilder, right? But Wilder needs to turn himself. When Wilder got beat by Fury the second fight, I said there were 3 people he needs to talk to. I said he needs to talk to George Foreman, because the way George was humiliated by Ali in that fight, and he had to come back from that. I said he needs to talk to Thomas Hearns from Kronk, because he worked that Kronk style. And there was somebody else that said as well. I couldn't remember who the third one was. George Foreman, Thomas Hearns, and somebody else. I couldn't remember who the third person was. But those 2 guys were the 2 guys who were key. And believe it or not, after that video I did, guess who ended up got off the phone to Deontay Wilder? None other than big George Foreman that he went and go saw afterwards. So I must be on to something. Ever since Ingram just left boxing, it's been like this. Ingram brought the class to his thing. What is gonna take him to come back and save us? How you joker? I give up cricket and I go into the boxing world and I do some coaching. Actually, I have got some footage. I have got some footage recently for you of me gloving up again. And I had a fight. Must have been about 2 weeks ago. I have the footage. I haven't uploaded it yet. It was interesting. I need to get in some shape. Yeah. I'll upload it. Okay. Says, if I brill him, though, because he saved his boxer life for a guy who took a dive, we don't know how he could do it in coaching them. Okay, let me put this one up now. Did you know Breland was very close with Kronk? Mark Breland was very close with Kronk. What I don't understand, though, is that if Wilder knew Breland was that close to Kronk, why did he continue to employ Breland? Why didn't he sack Breland before then? There's some things that Wilder says. Remember, I've throttled Wilder on this before. A lot of people don't understand. That's why they come out and talk some of the nonsense they talk, right? When Wilder was knocking out literally guys who didn't matter, I was on this channel and we spoke back and forth on Twitter, and he was pissed with me because I called him and said, "You're fighting a whole load of bums and you want me to give you credit for that." I said, when you fight somebody decent, or half decent, I'm going to give you credit. And I did. When he beat Stavern, and he beat him. Stavern was a champion. He went and fought Stavern. Stavern was ranked highly in all the governing bodies back then. He just beat Areola, and Areola was ranked very highly back then. He was the guy who was going to come and, Areola was the guy to beat Vitaly Klitschko. So people rated Areola very highly. Then after Vitaly retired, and Vitaly had 3 chances to fight Stavern, all 3 times Vitaly pulled out of that fight. So then after that, Areola decided to fight, was ranked #1 contender to fight Stavern. Yeah, and they were trying to get Areola to win the title, but Stavern put an end to that. And then Wilder beat Stavern. So that's the history of me and Deontay Wilder right there. And he was on this channel as well, back in the early days. So I don't want anyone come and tell me any rubbish about, oh, you're a Wilder fanboy. Anybody who says that, doesn't know me at all or doesn't know this channel. But that doesn't mean because I told him after that, I said to him, listen, kudos, WBC champion, good luck on your reign as being world champion. And that's it, I dropped it from there. But I slammed Wilder for having JD as still in the corner. Or asking why the hell have you got JD as in the corner when he was there with the raps with Tyson Fury and he would chum you. All right, so don't think this is just one-way traffic. Please don't. I think if Joshua Usyk had a problem with Fury's gloves, the public would act completely different. Of course they would. That's the media. That's the media's done right there. You see there? And do you know what I would do as well? If I were in Wilder's camp with those gloves, and any sort of injury I get in the fight, I'll sue the commission. I'll sue the commission. And I'll do it on the grounds of manslaughter, not manslaughter, or the intent to harm. The intent to harm outside of the the reasonable grounds of boxing, right? Because those gloves are not fit for professional boxing. They're not fit for a fight of this magnitude. Sorry. So if Wilder gets any sort of harm caused to him, that needs to be going to the courtroom as well. There is video evidence. The judge can see this stuff. Fury's ban has been clouded with mental health. I bet most Fury fans don't even know that he was banned. He learned how to play the media game after Klitschko. Breland really didn't save Wilder's life. He mistakenly thought it was a scratch on Wilder's ear was a brain bleed. Corner can just let ref stop fight if necessary, if that's his job. Interesting. I'll tell you why Fury didn't come up with Breland poison the water, egg shaped form, and dead in Wilder's skull. That sounds hyper crazy. It's hyper crazy for somebody who uses the term deluded to a man that's already proven to you that the contract hadn't expired. Let's keep going. Listen, when AJ was introduced first, for the first time to the matchroom, to the payroll guy in matchroom, that's clear proof that he's surrounded by yes men. That clip was deep. Oh yeah. I'm glad you're still with me. Thank you very much. Please do smash the like button. Make sure you smash the like button to outdo the haters. Don't let the never let the haters win. I don't want to be part of their BLM movement. I get it, because even people that wanted to try and get me involved in the movement, I said this: who's leading the movement, and where's the movement taking us? They still haven't answered that question yet. Pac-Man is the only elite fighter who I think didn't have a visible ego. Really? Really? Yeah. So he moved all those weight divisions for all those fighters that didn't have ego. Sure. Love Bashir and Stacey McKinley. Man like Ingram, it's time, bro. In Wilder, I trust. Special shout out to Drake, who's back in Fury. We all know what that means. LOL. Oh my God. But wait. Hayes back in Wilder. We all know what that means. Listen, anyone wants to talk to me about Malik Scott, nobody can talk to me about, nobody can come and talk to me about Malik Scott, yeah? Because Malik Scott used to be on this channel. In fact, I asked Malik to come back on the channel. He said, yeah, bro, I'm coming through. He still hasn't arrived yet. So nobody can tell me about Malik Scott. When Malik Scott was fighting, he fought Derek Chisora. Go back and look at the BWTM history and that interview. As soon as he lost that fight to Chisora, moments after, I got the interview in the hotel room with Malik Scott. So nobody can come and tell me about Malik Scott. Nobody can come and tell me about Malik Scott. Nobody can come and tell me about Malik Scott. Ego gets you paid in a sport like no other sport. I totally agree with you there. You know why Holyfield didn't back ego? Ego drives. You see, if you've never boxed, you've never had to do that sort of competition, you don't understand. Ego, you've got ego and you've got fear. Here's fear, here's ego. This is the fear you've got here. And ego drives past that fear and it comes here. So your ego makes you go past your fear. That's why those who don't have as much ego, you see these guys here, are caught up in fear.
Steve, I don't even have to answer the question because Stacey McKinley answered that. What the hell's Holyfield got to do with this? I don't even know why we're going this conversation, Steve. You should know better than this. Come on. I mean, at the end of the day, Stacey McKinney broke it down to you 3 times about Holyfield and Tyson and the whole thing. So it's a waste of the conversation. Let's go next on. I've seen people say Wilder lying about racism because they don't experience the same issues in the UK. Absolute crap. You know it's absolute crap. I don't have first-hand knowledge. No, you don't have first-hand knowledge. You don't have first-hand. You probably don't have second-hand knowledge. It's probably third-hand knowledge. The only time you're going to gain knowledge about that team is on the night. You can only accuse somebody of being a yes man. You can only accuse somebody of being a yes man. If Wilder goes in there and fights exactly the same again, then you can accuse Malik Scott of being a yes man because he's allowed Wilder to go back and do the same shit again. But if he goes out there and fights differently, then how can he be a yes man? So you can't accuse somebody of being a yes man without allowing the man to fight. So I think you are making a judgment call without actually knowing the full facts. And until the fight happens, how can you judge somebody based on something you haven't seen yet? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Like I said to you earlier, Steve. So I don't really hear anything about yes man. Yes, sir, uploaded. It was crazy. I don't want to talk about that no more. I'm sorry. Nazim Hamed is a case where ego worked against him. He ended up not training properly for Barrera. He actually mainly a fat cap losing 35 pounds. Listen, what a lot of people don't know about Prince Nazim Hamed was that Uncle Bashir and Emmanuel Stewart were of 2 different thoughts. When Bashir came into, when Bashir was working with Stewart, Bashir was Stewart's right-hand man. That's why I know a lot of people don't know shit about boxing. Bashir was the guy that Emmanuel Stewart, the great Emmanuel Stewart, went to. And they argued like cat and dog. And Emmanuel Stewart said he wanted Hamed to hold his feet and plant his punches and to hold his ground. Bashir said, no, don't do that with Hamed. You're going to ruin him as a fighter. Let him be that unorthodox guy that bounces left and right, back and forth with that lateral movement. That's what makes him. He's less hittable and he's more unpredictable. Stewart said no, and you saw the demise of Nazim Hamed. That's why you saw Hamed getting hit more with big shots. Augie Sanchez being a perfect example of that fight. Of Hamed just trying to stand there and land big shots. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, I know about AJ. Not here to talk about AJ today. Joe Lou versus Max Smelling? Maybe. What about Holmes versus Cooney? You still haven't talked to me about that fight. Or how about Hagler versus Alan Minter? Let's talk about that fight close to home. Shannon Courtney? No, can't talk about that. Sorry. We are talking specifically about this mental health situation. There we go. Fury's new gloves have no padding in them. Boxing is corrupt. Oh, there's another one coming out and saying it now. There you go. There you go. There you go. I'm not saying it. He says, never mind Ingram, calling Bashir uncle. You should be calling Ingram uncle with all the hard work and time again. Great build up every fight week. Show some respect. It's okay. You know, it's okay. That's why we have a member section and we have an open section. Free Larry Hoover, 3 Kings walking the land. Great show. Thank you. Tell us about Malik. What do you want to tell you about Malik? Just go and do your own research on Malik. Check the interviews I've done with him.
Because every fighter's ego. Many lesser fighters will not succeed without me. That's it. Mr. Joe says, and you know, these are people that are probably bankers and people that are accountants and people that are living a pretty privileged life talking this crap. We've never taken a punch in anger and never had to train for a fight. Because you know the difference between people who are fighters. Because fighters would never make a statement like, "Oh, no egos in boxing." Crap. Ego is there to save your life, not a bad thing about balance. There you go. I think the bulking up by Wilder will hurt him. He's never fought at that weight. He may slow his speed, but I want Wilder to win. But listen, the guy's had. It's not like he's bulked. Just pick sense from nonsense. It's not like people keep forgetting. People think this is just a fight that's happening today. He's had a year and a half to prepare. A year and a half. So the weight that's been packed on is over a period of time. It's not packed in over 3 months. This is something that he's been well oiled. So he's packed it over a period of time. So I don't agree with this bulking on weight with Wilder. I don't believe it all. So how was the Malik Scott interview? What do you think his training style will be too? Do yourself a favor. When this is finished, type in BWTM Sports Malik Scott or Bayloric TV Malik Scott. You listen to the interviews. And David Hay seems to think Wilder had a pre-existing injury going into the second fight from a close source, and I tend to believe him. Yeah, there was some injury in Wilder. I did hear that as well. There was an injury going into the fight, but there you go. You need evidence before you call somebody yes man. I agree, Ingram. Of course. Hagler versus Minter. If you want to talk about a racist, there's a racist fight there. And I think Hopkins, when he said, "I'll never let a white man beat me," well, a white man knocks you right through the ropes, and that nonsense was. I said the boxing gods were unforgiving, and that was Hopkins. And he said, "I'll never let a white boy beat me. A white boy knocks you straight through the ropes." I warned you all about Hopkins and the way he said that. I will tell you something. I was stunned that Bashir was assistant coach at Kronk Gym. I'm probably younger than you. You didn't know that. Bashir's been around since Muhammad Ali. Come on, bro. That's why I said a lot of people don't understand boxing and don't understand. Listen, talking to Uncle Bashir is like sitting down and talking to Emmanuel Stewart. People don't get it because Bashir doesn't fit into the box. Talking to Bashir is like talking to Emmanuel Stewart. That's what it's like because you're talking to his right-hand man. Knows everything about Emmanuel. There's stuff I know about Emmanuel Stewart that a lot of you don't know about Emmanuel Stewart. There's stuff about Sugar Hill that you don't know about Emmanuel Stewart, that you don't know. So it's just, remember, Bashir knew Sugar Hill when he was a little boy. He was a boy. So think about that in terms of knowledge. Jonathan Banks, which you wrote up about, it was Bashir that brought Jonathan Banks into camp, and Emmanuel Stewart didn't even want Jonathan Banks in camp. He didn't rate him. So a lot of people really don't understand boxing. Deontay Wilder is extremely dangerous given that he's been so quiet, working and training for 20 months for one man. That's got to shake Fury a little. Fury, everyone says, "Oh, well, when Wilder gets hit in the chin, he's going to return to type." Fury's the biggest con artist there is out there. Because who's the guy that reverts to type when they get hit on the chin? You watch Tyson Fury. When he gets hit on the chin, he reverts to type. Tyson will start out boxing, moving, When Tyson gets hit on the chin, he's more likely, if he goes down, he'll get up, he'll come back rushing out fighting. He'll put his hands up and he'll come. That's reverting to type. It'll make it into a doghouse fight. If anyone's going to revert to type, it's Tyson Fury, not Deontay Wilder. You see Ingram turn around like that. Definitely got ladies serving him as a king at the house. Oh, yeah. You better believe that, brother. You better believe that. Wow, this is getting crazy. When do fighters know which gloves each will use? Is it in the contracts or closer to fight time? I think it's mentioned in the contracts. I think it is contracted there, but I think they've got 2 or 3 gloves they can choose from, something like that. Don't hold me on that though. I remember one of Manny Stewart's interviews on Tyson. He said something like, "I've never seen a fight with the confidence he has. He can talk out like Muhammad Ali." Yeah, he can. And you've got to give Tyson his dues. Ingram, what advice would you be giving to Wilder going into this round one of this fight in terms of feeding out or letting loose? I would say first round, as soon as you get out there, hold center ground, let Fury come at you and let that right hand go as fast as possible and hit Fury hard. Doesn't matter where it is. Head, body, arms, elbows, don't matter. Make sure you let that right hand go early. Lots of feints. Draw Fury forward. Center of the ring. Lots of this stuff. Jitter Fury. Do this to Fury. Lot of feinting and blind him. See the jab? That's how do you hide the right hand? Let me see if I can get here. That's how you hide the right hand there. That's how you hide the right hand. So you jab, you hide. Sorry, you blind. See it there? Jab, blind. That's the blind. So you can't see it there, blind. And then as you blind, you put the right hand down the pipe. That's how it works. But it's a quick movement. Jab, hold there, blind, bang, right hand. So as you blind, the right hand comes through. And actually, I think Wilder did do that to Fury in the first fight. Because I think he threw the jab, blinded Fury with the jab, right hand came through, left hook, and then dropped Fury. I could be wrong, but I'm sure it was this one, 2, 3. That dropped Fury the second time. It was left hook. It's insane that people are judging Malik already. When it was Ben Davison, all I remember was the chat of how he was motivating Fury. And Malik's got far more experience than Ben Davison. Far more experience. Yeah, every fighter has these ego, but have to agree with you on this. But I hear what guys are saying. You can take your ego to wrong levels. Nah, listen. You take your level. What do you mean take your level to the wrong levels? This is fear. This is ego. This is fear. This is ego. Ego drives past fear. There's no in boxing. There's no your ego can go against you. What can go against you is your indiscipline. If you're not disciplined, if you're not training right, if the guy's a better fighter than you, no matter how big your ego is, you're going to get smashed, right? No matter how big your ego is. But if you're disciplined, discipline's one thing, ego's another thing. If you've got discipline and ego working hand in hand, it's great. But if you're not training and you've got a big ego, that don't work. So again, I don't agree with what some people are saying here. You need ego. Don't shame me. I don't know boxing history, so thank you. But it's the boxing history that you've got to call back upon when you look into talking about these fights and these situations. So important. Ingram, I'm asking you spot on, personally on spot. Who do you think is white and who are you going for? I'm going for the guy that wins the fight. That's what I'm going for. This fight is too contentious, really too contentious. And I don't want to get caught in the toxicity of it. Jonathan Banks ruined Vlad in the last few fights. Yeah? Well, you said it. Vlad should have sparked AJ. Yep. Too passive. Eddie Futch and Bill Miller did a lot of work. The Crump fighters behind the scenes wasn't all down to Stewart. Yes. But that's, you know that because Bashir said that. Eddie Futch, Bill Miller, Luther Burgess. The list continues. A lot of those guys came together with the Crunk, and Emmanuel would come in afterwards and do the last week or two of pad work. That's how Emmanuel did. But Emmanuel brought those guys together. That's a fact. There's every chance that if Fury goes there this time, he doesn't get up. There's every chance of it, but there's every chance he'll get up again. Depends how clean he gets hit. Guys, I've seen so many televised gloves trials, and sometimes they keep the spare ones in the safe. Yeah, that's true. So it could be that Wilder knew the Fury gloves used prior to the fight now for the third time, and gloves are still an issue for him. Well, he knows the gloves were an issue, and he's made the gloves an issue, and he's made it a point. And he's probably made it a point in the courtroom as well as part of his evidence. But it's made the evidence more compelling. That, what happened there with Ty Jones, has made it more compelling. It's made it more compelling. And if that's evidence, I'd be using that as evidence. I'd be using it as evidence. I really would. I think this fight could end in controversy because they've changed the referee, and I've talked about it earlier at the top of the show. I think the blinding shot was the one in the 12th round against Fury where he got put on nap time. Yep. That's a shot. That's a shot. That's a shot. There's this one here. There, where you're blind. You throw the right hand through the middle here. But there's also another shot you do where you throw the jab, and when you throw your right hand, which is something I used to throw, the right hand towards, it's called temple punching. You hit the guy at the top of the here, not the chin, but here. So equilibrium goes. When you hit a guy there, this is what happens. If you look at Wilder when he throws shots, sometimes right hand, it's there. He doesn't throw it straight like that. He more throws it like a cuffing sort of blow. It's got snapping and twisting it. That could cause cuts as well. Malik Scott's being capped with everyone. That's it. So you're going to learn from that. Bill Miller, look what he did, James Tony, arguing on the best boxers I've seen. Yep. That's the sort of guys that Bashir's been around. So I don't understand how Uncle Bashir is ignored by so many people. And I say it's because mainly there's two things. First thing, I think it's because of the way society is. And second, because you can't compare Teddy Atlas with James Allen Bashir. You couldn't. You couldn't. And Freddie Roach is a product of Eddie Futch. I used to watch this channel in 2016. I remember all the Fury footage, but for some reason, YouTube stopped recommending you, and I forgot you until I came on Alter Check, best channel for inside talk on YT. So there you go. So you know that YouTube stopped recommending us, but we know what the game is of YouTube. But that's a totally different situation because the powers that be, and I'm telling you now, the powers that be, and anybody who knows the sort of people we've got in this channel, the powers that be don't like it. And I can tell you front up, face on. I can tell you. So they've been trying to suppress us for years. And I've got the evidence. I've got many of what our views should be. I think the last time we checked the real views of our channel, I think we had something like, either something like 80 million views and 568,000 subscribers. So we know what's going on. We know what's going on. Even YouTube. I remember 2016. I remember when I went to YouTube to the YouTube party. I was invited there, and ever since I went to that YouTube party, they've been doing that to my channel. You know, like 1 month they'll have. I'll give you an example. 1 month they'll have our channel, and we'll be getting like it's ridiculous. Now we've got like 150 people subscribers to the channel, and then next week YouTube will come and take 150 people off the channel. Then next day you'll see it'll say 10 people are watching the channel, and then you look afterwards like now it says 30 people are watching the show. I'll go back to my analytics afterwards, and it'll show 250 people are watching this show. So YouTube is a mess. It's a mess, and there's a lawsuit going out to YouTube anyway. But that's another story for another day. Kronk had such great gym, and a treasure for Kronk coaches are still around. It is. You've got Bashir as a Kronk trainer. Ruiz hit the AJ in the temple, that made him lose balance and never regained it. See, I know some stuff, but the same thing happened with David Price as well. Wilder loses again, and AJ loses to Usyk. How likely do you think we'd see AJ versus Wilder? Yeah, it would happen. It still can happen. But I don't think AJ ever wants that fight because we've seen already with AJ and his mentality, with Usyk and with Ruiz. Anytime he fights a guy that he thinks going to punch him back and beat him, becomes nicey. That's what I think. They don't seem to make trainers like Manny Stewart anymore. His stable was insane. Lennox, top 3 heavyweight. Vlad, heavyweight in his era. Hearns, all-time great. But Manny Stewart, the secret to Manny Stewart was this. How many fighters did Manny Stewart take on that weren't world champions? I mean, I'm not talking about the guys he's built, but after that, he didn't accept guys. Like, he never took on Audley Harrison. You ever wonder why? He had Lennox Lewis, but Lennox Lewis was already world champion. Oscar De La Hoya was also a world champion. Evander Holyfield was a world champion. So really, Emmanuel Stewart was really a consultant. He was a consultant. He had a lot of these guys who were very good. And then he was like a gun or a mercenary. He was one of these guys that you called in to get the job done. Evander Holyfield, when he lost to Riddick Bowe, he was world champion. Undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And then he lost. And Emmanuel Stewart was brought in as a consultant. They made the changes. Holyfield became champion again. So it's what it is. It's what it is. And when you've got a great team behind you, you can do things like that. So that's the secret to Emmanuel Stewart. Not Lucky Stewart, but that's exactly what it is. Many at this stage didn't have the time to build fighters like he did early when he had more free time. He had a team of people that were very good. That's what it is. Crunk was a massive gym after. Yeah, because of those strategies. Yeah. And if Bashir had the sort of backing that he should have, I think he could have an excellent gym as well. Okay. So let me get out of here now. Just the whole thing, let's wrap this up on mental health. Where do you stand on mental health? Is mental health for you based on a person's makeup, the color of the skin, what they say? Or is mental health for you a case of actually listen to what a person's got to say, regardless if you like them or not, and hear what they have to say? Because I feel that Deontay Wilder, for the most part, has been ignored, has been ridiculed, and has been character assassinated by the media. That has been an out-and-out thing. I don't think he's a Wilder's establishment, and that's the problem. And the establishment don't like a guy they can't control, and Wilder's a guy they cannot control. And for that, they have disrupted his career, disrupted his potential to be taken very seriously. But one right hand could wipe all of that out and start again. We saw already how he's disrupted the media by enforcing his third fight via the arbitration. Are we about to see that happen again tonight, where the world once again have to acknowledge Deontay Wilder, whether they like him or not? They didn't want to acknowledge him for the trilogy. Frank Warren didn't want to acknowledge him. But maybe Frank did, I don't know. But Warren didn't want to acknowledge him. Eddie Hearn didn't want to acknowledge Deontay Wilder. But the judge made the world acknowledge Deontay Wilder was contractually obligated, that Tyson Fury was obligated to fight Deontay Wilder. So, I say this. Will tonight be another example of the boxing gods intervening and allowing Deontay Wilder, I say the word allowing, Deontay Wilder to become champion again, so that more people can be made aware of the corruption in the sport of boxing? I ask this question. Will the boxing gods visit us again tonight? Because they've visited us before. And it's not nice when the boxing gods visit. Believe me, it's not good. It's not nice when the boxing gods visit. So, if the boxing gods visit tonight, there'll be a lot of unhappy people, one way or another. So do you see Wilder winning if he can't land the right hand? All this talk, Wilder going to do this and that, I think it's nonsense. I can only see Wilder, Fury dominating again unless Wilder gets lucky. In fact, listen, how can you get lucky? Boxing's not about luck. It's not lucky. You're both guys are paid to punch. So there's no luck. I'm sorry, Steve. I can't really take you seriously. Anybody who talks about boxing and uses the word luck, it's not luck. He didn't just arrive in the ring by happenstance. He's in the ring. He's paid to fight. He's paid to throw punches. He's a prize fighter. There's no luck in punching. Okay? So please stop with that. Can't take you seriously. Sorry, mate. Mental health is more important than ever. I think character also is affected. Wilder, to be fair, brought a lot of this stuff on himself since the last fight. Oh no, I'm listening to that no more. Breland seems much lower figure by all in boxing. Brought all upon himself. Now, brought it all upon himself. So I guess that you're not an advocate for mental health. Breland seems much loved figure by all in boxing. Boxing is way more mental. Of course it is. Well, even the legend of Stewart's inferior miles in front, especially on mental strength. But he did say that, but he also mentioned about Deontay Wilder. He said, be careful of Deontay Wilder. I think that tonight you're going to see a remodeled Deontay Wilder. Whether that's enough, I don't know. But you're going to see a remodeled Deontay Wilder tonight. And I think he's going to shock a lot of people. If he comes out boxing differently, nobody can say that he is with a yes man. So, but you know, some people, I'll end on this. It tells you the sort of people we have in the sport of boxing. A man is considered a windmill, and he's got no boxing skills, and he's just got a right hand. Now the man goes back to the lab to improve, and people are still hating upon him. I mean, really? I just hope the boxing gods do what's right tonight. I hope so. And Deontay Wilder stopped the boxing world once already this year. Will he do it again? That's the question. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been BWTM Sports in a highly interesting and revealing debate. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check out, while you can now, BWTM Sports. Check out our new pint glass. Let me see if I can get that up for you before I finish off. Maybe I'll do it tonight. Take care.